It was a lovely spring morning for a ride. The sun was out but not too hot, and I had recently had my Kawasaki tuned up the previous day. I was driving around the suburbs coming home from a coffee run when I observed the white Range Rover in front of me. It was going along at about 15 miles per hour in a 35 zone, the driver clearly distracted by something inside the vehicle. I checked my mirrors, signaled, and relaxed on the left when the dotted line came. Standard procedure, nothing unpleasant. I didn't even change into second gear. That should have finished it. But as I glanced in my mirror, I could see the SUV make a sudden burst of speed, covering the gap between us in seconds. The horn for a good 5 seconds, that indignant, entitled sort of honk that says you need to know about driver. I maintained my pace, riding smoothly as the car followed me way too closely. When we approached a red light at the entrance to our gated community, Oakwood Estates, the Range Rover cut into the left turn lane and braked sharply in front of me, requiring that I brake hard. Before I could even flooring it to steady my bike, the driver's door opened and out stepped Deborah Wilson, better known throughout the neighborhood simply as Karen, our homeowner association, president of the past 3 years. I'd had conflicts with her previously regarding my trash cans, allegedly being seen from the street, and regarding the height of my hedges. But this was different. This was beyond her authority, and she was livid. "How dare you," she thundered, approaching me in her designer athleisure wear, oversized sunglasses perched atop her head. "Do you have any idea how disrespectful that was? You don't pass me like that. Who do you think you are?" I had my helmet on, flipping up the visor to respond slowly. "I was just driving normally. You were doing 15 in a 35. I was on an important call for HOA business." She snapped as if that justified it to crawl along and cause traffic to back up. "You motorcycle people act like you own the road. I know where you live. You're in Oakwood, aren't you? In that blue house on Sycamore that's begging for repainting." I groaned, seeing I was in for another of Karen's power trips. The light turned green and vehicles behind us started honking. "We need to go. We're blocking traffic," I said sensibly. "Don't you dare tell me what to do," she growled, pulling out her phone. "I'm documenting this. The board will hear about this. You'll be receiving a violation notice." I shook my head. For what? Driving legally on a public road? She scrunched up her eyes for disrespectful behavior. Unbecoming of an Oakwood resident, I knew fighting with her now would only make it worse. The neighborhood clubhouse was just within the gates, so I thought to pull in there and hope she'd calm down if we were off the main road. Big mistake. She tailed me, her Range Rover on my back tire, the entire way. The Oakwood clubhouse parking lot was quite full that morning. Saturday morning yoga class was just letting out, and a few residents were lingering around the front door. I parked my bike in a normal spot, and Karen right away pulled her Range Rover right behind me, effectively pinning me in. She came out again, this time with her phone already recording. "Everyone needs to see this," she shouted loudly, playing to the small crowd that had started to gather. "This dude dangerously cut me off on Maple Avenue, endangering my life and others on the road. He was recklessly weaving in and out of traffic on this death machine." She made a theatrics gesture towards my Kawasaki. "That's not what happened," I said calmly, removing my helmet but still holding it in my hands. "I legally passed you when you were going well below the speed limit. There were no other cars around." "Are you calling me a liar?" she insisted, advancing. Her voice went up several octaves. "I am the president of this association," she explained. "I enforce the regulations that safeguard this community and maintain high property value. You think that you can simply intimidate me with your reckless driving?" Some witnesses had sternly stopped to witness the spectacle. Most of them knew Karen's track record. I spotted Sarah from 3 doors down, discreetly taking out her phone, clearly recording the altercation. I gave her a slight nod of thanks. "Look, Deborah," I used her real name purposely. "This has nothing to do with the HOA. We were on a public street and I passed you legally. You're the one who tacked behind me, cut me off, and now blocking my car. I'd like to go home now." "Oh, you'd like to go home?" she used in a mock voice full of sarcasm. "Well, I'd like residents who abide by the rules and exhibit proper respect. The board will be voting new restrictions on motorcycles at our next meeting, perhaps a sound ordinance or restricted hours of operation." I couldn't help but laugh at that. "You can't restrict lawful vehicles on public streets?" Karen, that is not within HOA purview. Don't tell me what I may and can't do. She snapped, advancing a further step, yet closer, her finger now poking the air inches from my face. And don't you so much as call me Karen. My name is Deborah Wilson, HOA president. By this time, roughly a dozen neighbors had gathered, watching uncomfortably as Karen persisted in her rant. I remained calm, which only infuriated her, all the angrier, more angry. She was recording herself the entire time, periodically glancing over at my face, speaking as if she were recording a criminal at work. "This man is intimidating me," she said to her phone. Although I was simply standing there, he deliberately singled me out on the road because I issued him 3 citations last month for lawn neglect and illegal exterior modifications. I raised an eyebrow. "Are you saying you know me? That you stalked me intentionally?" She faltered for a moment before steadying herself. "I am saying you have a disregard for authority and neighborhood standards." "I think that's enough," called Sarah of the small group. "Deborah, you're making a big deal out of nothing." "Stay out of this," Karen growled at her. "Unless you would like the architectural committee to take a tougher move to that pergola you had erected last summer. I don't recall seeing official sanction of that." Sarah's eyes flickered at the underlying threat, but she did not hang up. I thought I'd had enough, and turned to go, planning to call a rideshare and get over my blocked motorcycle subsequently. That's where Karen made her disastrous mistake. She darted and grabbed for my helmet, then shoved my shoulder as I turned back in. "Don't you walk away from me," she screamed, her face red with fury. "We're not done here." The physical encounter changed everything, Sarah shouted out simultaneously. "I've got that on tape, Deborah. You just assaulted him." Another neighbor had already placed a call to 911. "Yes, we need officers at the Oakwood Estates clubhouse." He was shouting, "There's a fight, and it's becoming physical." Karen's face changed in a heartbeat when she saw what was happening. The change was astounding, like watching a chameleon turn color. Her scowling expression melted into one of tears welled up in her eyes. "He was threatening me," she whined now, performing for a new audience. "I was scared. I'm just trying to protect our community." The police arrived in minutes, 2 officers in a patrol car. Karen immediately approached them, tears running down her face. "Officers, thank heaven you're here. This motorcycle guy has been harassing me. I'm the president of the HOA, and he's been threatening me because I enforce the rules." The officers pulled us apart, taking statements from both sides. I told the officer what had happened, citing the fact that witnesses and video evidence were present. Karen interrupted my conversation with the officers, screaming out additional accusations. "He speeds around the neighborhood all day. Children live here. He's dangerous to this neighborhood." One officer finally stood up to her firmly. "Ma'am, I'm asking you to wait your turn. We're doing separate interviews." When the officers learned about the videos, they asked to see them. Sarah and 2 other neighbors came forward with footage that clearly showed the entire interaction, from Karen blocking my motorcycle to her poking her finger in my face, and finally the physical contact when she grabbed at my helmet and pushed my shoulder. The officers also requested to view my helmet cam footage, which I provided willingly. It showed the original passing maneuver on the drive, completely legal and safe, preceded by Karen's aggressive tailgating and unsafe cutoff at the light. As the officers were reviewing the evidence, Karen's story began to crumble. Her voice grew more boisterous and defensive. "Do you know who I am?" she asked of the younger officer. "I work closely with the city council and the police chief. We have friends in common on the board. I can make one phone call." "And ma'am," the officer cut in firmly, "are you threatening a law officer? Because it would be stupid." Karen moved back quickly. No, I'm merely describing my position within this community. I'm a highly respected authority figure here." The older officer clicked his notebook shut and approached Karen. "Miss Wilson, based on the evidence we've witnessed in witness statements, we're taking you into custody for assault, harassment, and making threats." Karen's mouth fell open. "What, this is ridiculous. I'm the victim here." "The videos clearly suggest otherwise," said the officer calmly as he began reciting her rights. "You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law." As the officer handcuffed her, Karen's face contorted with rage. "This is appalling. I am going to sue this entire neighborhood. I am going to get your badges. Do you have any idea what this will do to property values?" The crowd stood in stunned silence as the officers led Karen to the patrol car. As they were getting ready to help her into the back seat, she shouted, "Emergency HOA meeting on Monday. I expect everyone to be there to address this injustice." The door closed on her last words and the patrol car drove away. The gathered neighbors stared at each other in shock before a few nervous laughs relieved the tension. 3 days later, a notice went up on the community bulletin board and in everybody's email. Effective immediately, Deborah Wilson is taking an indefinite leave of absence from the HOA board. Vice President Michael Torres will perform presidential duties until further notice. The criminal charges against Karen earned her a 6-month probation sentence, 40 hours of community service, and a $1,000 fine. She was also directed to attend an anger management course. When the judge announced the sentence, Karen's face turned a shade of red I'd never seen before as she stuttered. But I'm HOA president." "Not anymore, ma'am," the judge replied calmly. "Next case,